I'm going to quickly turn this over to Kanisha Hinton, who is the innovation strategist for Wake County. What I'm very excited about are all these different representations in the room and for us to have this time to think about some of these larger issues and how we can collaborate. And digital equity is one of those issues in which all of us have goals, but we have far more progress to do. And so this, for me, is an exciting opportunity for us to hear about some of the programs and projects and latest ideas. And hopefully those are some things that you can take, or you might have recommendations for ways in which we can help elevate this work and take it to the next level. So I'll hand it over.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be in the room, and I'm excited that you all chose this room. Okay, so in 45 minutes, we're getting ready to solve some problems. Are you all ready to solve some problems? Gonna make this happen, okay? And we're gonna talk about how we're gonna improve digital access and opportunities for all. Now, if for some reason we're unable to solve it, like I said, I want you all to go forward, continue the work, figure out how we can make this happen and make sure that everyone has equal access to some of the digital tools that are needed to make this happen. Many of you probably selected this room because we share in the belief that we are in a region where we can achieve the goal of having an interconnected and smart communities and make Wake County and the surrounding areas, make Durham County, make Franklin County, all the areas that we touch, all of the areas that we impact, an extraordinary place to live, to work, to visit for everyone. So we're gonna do that by doing what? We're gonna dream bigger today, and we're gonna dream bigger together, all right? So we have a great panel in store for you today, so turn to your neighbor or say out loud to yourself, whichever you are more comfortable with, and say, you are in for a treat. See what I'm saying? For those in the back, I saw you. That's right. All right, so today, who do we have? We have Carrie Delmarani. What? Delmarani. I know how to say it, yes. I was trying to read and look, and then we have Laura, we have up here, Fogel. We have Emily Gangai and Patrick Mulhern. And this group of individuals is going to do and talk and answer some questions independently together. Hopefully, maybe we'll have some opportunity to do some Q&A at the end. But they are going to tell you more about who they were. So when we were planning, we talked about I could stand up here and do the introductions and tell you how great they are and why I honor and respect each of them so much in the work that they are doing. But we're going to allow that to be a part of their introduction. So what we're going to do is they're going to, each of our panelists is going to introduce themselves and share their passion regarding achieving digital equity and inclusion. And also, they're going to tell us how their organization ties into the Connected Triangle Plus vision and the Smart City movement. And so we're just going to get started with Patrick because he is closest, and then we're going to go down.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today. It's very nice to see so many friendly faces this early in the morning. My name is Patrick Mulhern. I serve on the advisory board for Digital Bridge out of Wake Forest, and we are a career technical skills training program with a focus on computer skills. We do cybersecurity training, IT support certifications, teach computer programming in Linux and Python, project management software, Salesforce, and we serve predominantly communities of color, people experiencing poverty. What we have found, though, is that our aspirations are sometimes higher than our students' capabilities. So they come into us, say they want to learn Python, but they don't know how to send an email. And so we've been backfilling now, trying to find ways to provide digital literacy training at the very most basic fundamental levels to help our students be more successful. And we found that the communities that we serve, this need is pervasive. And so we've absolutely pivoted now to just providing really fundamental opportunities for people to learn how to participate in the digital economy.
Thank you so much, Patrick. What stands out to me about that is that you meet students where they are. I like how you said they want to learn something that is massive, but they don't know how to send an email. And so you start with where they are and you help them to get to where they want to go. Phenomenal. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Emily Ganji, like the river without the S. That's how I learned it when I met my husband. It's Italian. I am not. I'm from the mountains of North Carolina, and I'm a Durham resident now. I'm the policy director for the Division of Broadband and Digital Equity for the state of North Carolina. And we were created about 2 years ago by Governor Cooper, and the General Assembly appropriated us almost $1 billion, excuse me, with a B, $1 billion of American Rescue Plan Act funds to begin working on Governor Cooper's plan to close the digital divide. Because we know that more than 1 million North Carolinians are on the wrong side of that divide and either don't have access to the internet at their homes or businesses, or they can't afford the service that is available, or they don't have the digital skills and devices that they need to be able to access the technology and participate in the digital economy. So most of that $1 billion is going toward infrastructure grants and programs to expand service to at least 98% of the households and businesses in North Carolina. And $50 million of that money is going to digital equity and literacy grants. One round of which is being announced today. Y'all get a special sneak, and the people at the table did too. So we're announcing that applications are open today for the next round of $14 million. And nonprofits, local governments, higher education organizations, all kinds of folks are eligible to apply for those to improve digital equity in their communities, which could look like devices, skills, improving affordability. We're trying to keep it broad so that people can do what's most needed in their county, in their community. So we've got that $1 billion. We're really grateful for that, and we're getting ready. We learned earlier this year that we're going to get $1.5 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure law through the U.S. Department of Commerce so that we can get to 100% of homes and businesses in North Carolina, because when you get to the harder to reach places, it gets even more expensive to get there. And so once we've achieved universal service, we can use any money that's remaining from that allocation toward digital equity activities as well. And so I have to make a couple announcements. One, our initial proposal for how we're going to spend that $1.5 billion was posted Monday for public comments, and I hope you'll all go to to ncbroadband.gov and take a look and give us comments about what you think about it. We also posted our broadband workforce plan. So in order to deploy this $2.5 billion in our state, it's going to create about 6,000 jobs. And we've got to make sure we have the people trained to do that work and build this critical infrastructure. So we've got a plan for how we're going to work with partners in our state to make that happen. So that's posted for public comment as well if you're particularly interested in workforce. So those are the two things, the two pieces of homework I have for you. So you can tell I'm passionate about this work and making it happen, and I'm glad you chose to be in the room with us. And I'm going to stop because we're only supposed to talk for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Emily. I told you all you were in for a treat. So you already got inside information.
So good morning. I'm Laura Fogel, and I wear 2 hats. I'll tell you about both. I'll focus on one hat today. So I'm the director of the library at the College of Education at NC State University. So higher education institution, and I'm also the founder and current board chair of a nonprofit called Digital Durham. And I'll really focus today on my work with Digital Durham. We're a digital equity collaborative, and what that means is our mission is to bring together organizations and individuals throughout our community who are involved in digital inclusion work or who should be involved in digital inclusion work and just don't know it yet. So we have members who are nonprofits, we have members who are part of government organizations, we have members who are from private industry, and we have individuals. And so we are bringing together all of those different organization and individuals to focus on closing the digital divide in Durham, right? So we already heard from Patrick and Emily about that includes connection to affordable broadband, to devices, to a working affordable device, connection to digital literacy training, and really there's other aspects too that we could go into, but all of the different aspects of digital inclusion, you can see them being implemented one part or the other across many different organizations, right? So the library does digital literacy training. We have great nonprofits, one of which you'll hear from in just a minute, that helps provide devices. So how can, instead of each of those organizations working on their own, how can we help to bring them together to work collaboratively so that we can replicate best practices, that we can leverage each other's strengths, and really ultimately have a bigger impact on the community by working together in a coordinated way than if we're working sort of independently.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie Del Mariani, and I'm the Director of Programs at Cramden Institute. And I'm very excited to be here on this wonderful panel with these wonderful folks. For the past 10 plus years, as the Director of Programs, I've worked to create digital inclusion programs here in the Triangle and across North Carolina. If you're not familiar with Cramden Institute, we are a Durham-based nonprofit with the mission to bridge the digital divide by providing technology, tools, and training. And how we do that is, number one, kind of like Laura was mentioning, we are a computer device refurbisher. So what we do is we collect computers from wherever we can find them. So that means from individuals like yourselves, who I know have like a laptop in a closet that you're not using, that's just sitting there, to municipal governments like Wake County, Durham County, to companies, big and small, who are refreshing their devices. We take those donations, refurbish them, and then distribute them back into our community. Since we started, we've awarded over 52,000 devices, so that's laptops and desktops. And in recent years, realizing that it's great to be able to distribute these devices, but they don't have as much impact without the education and training on how to use the device. And we also tried to promote that internet connectivity as well. So we've created kind of like Digital Bridge, basic computer skills programming, where we teach our community members how to digital skills and then provide them with a device upon completion. So we've done that here locally, but also with a lot of partners across the state.
Thank you. Each one of these individuals have such a rich addition to this work, and so I'm excited to hear more from each of you. We're going to start out with our next question with Emily, and then we'll kind of go and follow. What do you see as the biggest obstacles facing our communities as we are trying to achieve these goals?
North Carolina was the first state in the nation to create an Office of Digital Equity and Literacy at the state level, and we did that 2 years ago. And I'm with the division, and within the division there's the Office of Digital Equity and Literacy and the Broadband Infrastructure Office. And we did that because we think that the digital equity and literacy piece is just as important as the infrastructure piece and can sometimes get lost in the conversation because we need to focus a lot on the infrastructure and making sure people have access, but just as important is affordability. And we did listening sessions around the state in the spring in multiple counties and in different regions of the state. And the top three things we heard from folks about what the key challenges were in their community. One was the infrastructure, the access to the technology. And then right there along with it was affordability and being able to afford the service that is available to them or to afford the device that they need to connect. And then the third piece was digital skills and knowing how to use it. And so the people at this table are representing all those challenges. But I want to especially talk to you today about affordability because that's heavy on my mind. There's a federal benefit program called the Affordable Connectivity Program that provides a $30 a month subsidy for low-income households who qualify. And we know that more than 1 million households in North Carolina, the estimates are between 1.3 and 1.7 households in North Carolina qualify for that benefit. So one of the key objectives of our Office of Digital Equity and our whole division has been educating residents in North Carolina to let them know that that benefit is available and that they qualify and how to enroll. So right now we've got about 850,000 households enrolled in that program who are on the internet, have access to the internet at home, and are getting the benefit of that $30 a month subsidy. It also provides a rebate toward the purchase of a device as well, I should mention. The estimates are that the federal source of funding for that program is going to run out of money sometime in the spring of 2024 if Congress doesn't act to appropriate more funding to that program. So we've been working with a lot of our stakeholders and collaborators. Governor Cooper has been working on a letter with other governors. As of yesterday, I think we were at 21 governors who'd signed on, both Republicans and Democrats, urging Congress to appropriate more funding to the Affordable Connectivity Program. So anything that you can do to make sure that Congress takes action to keep that going so that those 850,000 households in North Carolina are still able to afford the internet service that they have, and that we can keep getting to that 1.3 to 1.7 million total who need that benefit, that I would encourage you to do that.
Thank you. Yes, Laura.
I'll pick up right where you left off there. I failed to mention when I was talking about Digital Durham that we're an affiliate of NDIA, which is the National Digital Inclusion Alliance. Thank you. And NDIA has some materials posted on their website, like a template letter that you can use to send to our federal representatives. So please look into those resources that are available there to help us raise our voices about the fact that ACP is making a huge impact in our communities, and we don't want it to go away. The other challenge that I want to talk about is this new challenge, right? The speaker this morning was talking about AI, and it's a topic that I'm very interested in, and it connects to my evolving ideas about digital inclusion and the digital divide. So I've been involved in this work for about 8 years now. So I'm actually a relative newcomer. And I initially thought that if we had enough money, right, we could just solve the digital divide in Durham. If we could get the funding we needed, we could just solve it and it would be done, check it off. But I've realized that as technology advances, we continue to have technology advance, people continue to get left behind, right? The device that people had 5 years ago or 10 years ago, right, is not an adequate device today because the things that we're expecting to do with our devices are different. So the example of the digital human who's helping people navigate their municipality and access services, right? I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. And then the other side of my brain is like, yeah, but what about all those people who are just accessing it on their cell phone? Can they do that AI thing on their cell phone with their data plan? maybe not. So I think that's one of the obstacles, is how we continue to think about evolving, emerging technologies and how we can get ahead of this equity issue and really break down some of the barriers before they get too far out in front of us, so that everybody has equitable access to even the emerging technologies. As I think about the teachers that we're preparing in the College of Education, like, I'm telling them about artificial intelligence and the tools that they can use, but I'm also thinking about the students in their classroom who won't have access to it. And so when they graduate from high school and they want to enter the workforce, they're not going to have had experiences potentially with artificial intelligence and how you design a good prompt, how you prompt engineer for AI tools. Every student, every child in North Carolina deserves to have a quality education that includes, right, experiences with digital tools that prepare them for the workforce. And we can't get there if they don't have equitable access to those technology tools at home and at school.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, I will kind of piggyback off of all of that, both Emily and Laura. You know, the obstacles that we see in our work is all of those things, not having the access to that affordable device. And then one thing that hasn't been addressed yet, because I am so focused on devices, is tech support. And, you know, it's great to put that device into somebody's hand, but I'm sure everybody in this room has had a tech support issue before. And a lot of us, except for this gentleman right here. And, you know, a lot of us probably just take for granted that we can solve those issues with our technology, but for a lot of people, that isn't a reality. I see people in our office every day that are coming to us for tech support, which, you know, we do provide affordable tech support to our clients, who are, you know, relying on their device for their education, for their job. And when it breaks down and they don't have the funds to go to Best Buy or go to, you know, they are lost, and that is hurting them. And just creating, you know, more and more inequities. So that's one thing that hasn't been said yet that I did just want to mention, that is really an important aspect.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Patrick, what do you have to add?
Yeah, so we're talking about connected communities, smart cities, smart communities. Policymakers love to talk about these sorts of things. How do we design our cities and communities to be more interconnected, leveraging all the technologies that are available to us? How can you do better open government by making your government facilities more available online? All of these ideas assume a baseline level of understanding of how the internet works, and also that you have a device capable of connecting to the internet. And there are maps in the state's 5-year plan that show all the communities in the state where people predominantly have cell phones for connecting to the internet. I think one piece, though, that is, and we've mentioned it numerous times already this morning, but it tends to fall to the wayside because I think it's hard to do, is digital literacy. How do people know how to connect to the internet? And there are funds coming down to support our governments in distributing this sort of understanding to the communities that we live in. But I don't believe that there's enough focus on it. And so I think that's the primary impediment to our achieving a smart cities focus, is that we're leaving a lot of people behind, and we're not doing now, we're not in the future, we're not planning enough for how we're going to rectify this as we go forward. And the consequence is we're going to leave people behind. And if we want to have vibrant communities, we want to have a thriving economy. We have all of the sort of infrastructure necessary for that in the state of North Carolina. So we really should be focusing on our efforts to make sure that everyone is included in this new technology-driven economy that we live in.
Thank you so much for that. And one of the things that you talked about, Patrick, was this gap and this widening gap, and it kind of takes us into our next question. And Carrie, I would like for you to start with the answer for this next question. And as we think about the Connected Triangle Plus vision, it focuses more than just on education. It talks about working individuals. It talks about individuals that are living and just how they're living, workforce development, all of those different components. And COVID did a lot of things. COVID did a lot of things, and we won't talk about all of the things that they did, but one thing it did was it highlighted that gap. It highlighted that digital equity and inclusion gap in a very, very different way. So the question is, how does digital equity and inclusion affect workforce development and the economics of the communities that we are all serving?
Yeah, and I'll start by a stat that we've been using a lot this year to explain this need for digital skills. I think it was the National Skills Coalition came out with a report earlier this year that said that 92% of all jobs across sectors require digital skills. And I believe about a third of workers don't have those foundational skills. So when we read that, I mean, that is hugely telling, and we see that in our work every day. And, you know, I often tell the story, we were working with Durham Housing Authority to do a digital skills class and provide devices, and we were doing a graduation. I think we had like five residents graduating, receiving certificates in basic computer skills. And one of the graduates was so just thankful, and she just broke down in tears, saying that that was really the first time she had ever, you know, received any kind of certificate and accomplished anything in an academic setting or graduated. And, you know, that was just really impactful, I think, for myself and our staff to see that impact and realize that how do you expect someone to get out of their current situation if they don't have those skills and they're not supported. And so whenever we're trying to create our program, we're really trying to look at it holistically. It's not just giving the skills and giving the device, but really supporting them and looking at our partners like Digital Durham and partners across our community to support our clients and our residents.
Thank you. Patrick?
So I think that fundamentally, excuse me, our workforce development efforts after COVID, we've seen now a migration out of the office, right? And although some companies are trying to force people back into the office, it's in some kind of hybrid scenario. So fundamentally, people need to be able to function in an online environment that requires basic skills for how to connect, basic devices for connectivity. So even to participate in the job market, to be eligible for remote work, which is pretty sweet, you have to have some basic skills that I think a lot of people lack. Even just applying for jobs, though, you have to be able to navigate the internet. You need to be able to understand how to work with online forms. Your housing security, your bank accounts, just setting up your electricity account to get power to your house all require just these basic digital skills that some people don't have. And so what we're talking about then is this new area of opportunity for all of us to do better in our careers and to have better work-life balance and that lifestyle is only available to those of us who know how to participate in an online environment. So again, we're leaving out so many people, and they're not able to access the opportunities that the rest of us enjoy. And I think at a fundamental level, don't even realize what privilege we have, that this isn't something that we have to worry about. We don't have to worry about that our only access to the internet is through our phone, or that this child at home is trying to figure out how to navigate Google Classroom and their parents don't know how to work the computer. And so that child's opportunities in the digital economy will also be affected. It's pervasive and comprehensive. And again, I think that not enough attention is being directed to this very fundamental issue.
Thank you. Laura, can you?
So I think, Patrick, I want to pick up on the words you said, comprehensive, and the fact that workforce development is something that we all can, that many organizations can have a piece of contributing to the development of workforce skills in our community. And so we shouldn't be thinking just, right, well, that's the community college does that, right? The Workforce Development Board in my community does that, right? That it's really, there are opportunities for all of us to work together with specific communities, because one of the things that I've learned about digital inclusion work, which seems obvious, but when you actually see it play out in programming, it's a little startling, is that people aren't going to participate in your program, even if it's a quality program, if they don't trust you and they don't have some kind of connection or relationship with your organization. So for example, if you want to reach the refugee community in Durham, then there are nonprofits who work every day with people who are refugees in Durham. So that's where we need to bring the digital literacy training and the access to devices and talk to them about ACP. Like, back to what we were saying sort of at the beginning of meet people where they are, but literally meet people with the organizations that they're already connected with, so that, again, this needs to be a collaborative effort, and there's not one group who's sort of responsible for this, but we all work together.
Thank you. Emily?
I think I want to start with saying, I want to make sure, I know we're focused on the triangle today, but the triangle does include some rural areas. I want to make sure everybody doesn't think this is just a rural issue. This is a rural, urban, suburban, whatever planning designation you want to use issue. When we look at our mapping and our data, the digital divide is affecting people in every county in our state. So I just want to make sure everybody sees it in that way. But we do know that it's particularly hard in rural communities, or not particularly, but it looks different in different places. So I staffed the state's comprehensive economic development plan in 2019, just before the pandemic. And we did a lot of research, and we did listening sessions all around the state for that too. Can you tell I like getting out and talking to people? The two things we heard in every region of the state, whether it was rural or urban, suburban, the two things we heard then were broadband internet access and affordability, and affordable housing, which we all know is a big issue in the triangle too. So it's in the state's economic development plan, this digital divide and closing this digital divide. And it is an issue for workforce development, because most jobs require that you apply online now. And if you don't have access to the internet, or don't have a device, or don't have the skills to know how to do that, it's impacting your ability to get a job. It's also impacting your ability to train for a job, because so much of our education and training is provided online now. And so it's keeping people from getting the skills they need to earn a higher wage, and to be able to afford to live in better communities that are better connected. So the last thing I want to mention is just how it looks different in different places. So we also have data that Roberto Gallardo is one of my heroes, who's at Purdue University, and he's done really interesting work around digital equity and planning, and he's done research that shows that in communities rural or urban, that have higher levels of internet connectivity and adoption. So not just the access, but where people are adopting and subscribing to the internet, they have higher levels of economic prosperity as well. So it's really key to workforce development and economic prosperity that everybody has access, everybody can afford it, and everybody has the skills and devices they need to use it.
Thank you so much. Okay, so in the interest of time, we have just one more question. And I skipped you last time, Laura, because I wanted to start this question with you. Passion. It's not often that everyone gets to be able to work in their passion. But as a passionate community member around individuals having equitable digital access, being included as a community member, you began the work, you spearheaded, you lead Digital Durham, which has become a benchmark for so many other organizations and community engagement and work. So, and this question will be for everyone to respond, but I wanted to specifically start with Laura. How can a passionate community member, including individuals who are here to do the work, who want to join and make these kind of things happen, how can they get involved in achieving digital equity and inclusion work, and what is your call to action?
I'm ready to just shout it out. So I guess first I will say that we are so lucky in North Carolina to have strong leadership at the state level. When I go to national conferences about digital inclusion, people literally come up to me and say, "You're so lucky to live in North Carolina because y'all are way ahead of everybody else." And one of the big reasons why we are ahead is because we've had great leadership at the state level. So I encourage people to lean on that leadership that we have, right? Look at what is available from the Division of State Broadband Office, if I didn't say that quite right, but you get it. Right? Look at the resources that are available there. They can support you and are willing to support your community and want to support your community. There are grants, right? The first round of grants that is already being implemented are happening probably in your communities right now. So I think that was the biggest thing that's been able to help Digital Durham be as successful as we've been, is that we didn't try to do it ourselves. We reached out to partners. We found other like-minded individuals, other people who were passionate and connected to that passion to see what we could do together, right? It's not something that one person can solve. You need to find your people in your community, and they are there. Find them and come together. So I would say you should, if you live in Durham, come join us. We want you to be part of our collaborative. We're so fortunate to have great members. Our City of Durham representative is here with us today. Cramden, we have many other great members. If you don't live in Durham, form a collaborative in your community and bring those people together. And also, as I mentioned earlier, look at those resources that are available from NDIA that can support you, as well as the resources that are available at the state level to support you. So you're not alone.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I'll just say, after that a lot of communities like Durham are doing digital equity planning too. I know that Wake County's doing that as well. So that's a huge thing that I think, you know, when we were creating the Durham Digital Equity Plan, we were looking for supportive community members, you know, from all different sectors. And that's something that if there's already a plan created, read the plan, see how you can get involved in implementing the plan. So that's definitely one thing. You know, hopefully we'll get to the point where we have a digital equity plan statewide and then one in each county. That is the goal. So that's one thing. And then on a much simpler level, I will speak to, about Cramden Institute. We are always looking for support. So if you are local, especially local to Durham, we're always looking for volunteers to come to get involved, geeks and non-geeks. We will train you on how to refurbish a computer. It's really fun. It is fun. It is fun. Or tear apart a computer. So if you're just like angry, you know, I mean, you haven't had tech support issues, but for the rest of you, you know, if you want to just come and just get your anger out on those devices, we can help you there. And I will say, always advocating for devices. We have so many devices in our community. Companies that, you know, thankfully we get some of them, but we know that so many of the devices that are in our community end up outside of our community, going to for-profit refurbishers and then go who knows where. And our goal is really to keep them in our communities. So anything that anybody can do to advocate for that is always appreciated.
Tell them how many counties can access your services. Not just Durham.
Yes. So we are, clients across North Carolina can receive a computer from our organization. We created a pretty elaborate kind of train the trainer program. So we partner with communities, again, a lot of public housing communities all across North Carolina. We train individuals who either are residents in public housing or work in that public housing community in the Triangle, and then send them back into their community. Laura was mentioning the trust factor, where they have that trust already established in their community, and they deliver our curriculum and our computers throughout there, and we pay them a stipend to do that. So that's one of the ways that Cramden is able to kind of distribute our programming across the state. Thank you, Emily.
Awesome. And so if we can quickly hear from Patrick and then Emily, and then I'll have 2 words to say.
Okay, very quickly, I'll reiterate a lot of what's already been said. Go to the NCDIT website, look for the Community Digital Inclusion Plan template, and look it over. It provides a holistic strategy for providing digital inclusion efforts wherever you are. Also echo that we need more networks. So whatever organization you work in, look for ways to help some of us small outfits interconnect with each other to help share best practices and whatever resources we might have. The other piece is there's a lot of money coming right now, but it is project funding. Okay, so one-time funding. We need programmatic support for digital navigators in every organization that touches any of the communities covered by the Digital Equity Act, so that the covered populations. Every community-based organization that works with these individuals, families, communities, needs to have a digital navigator embedded in the organization. So whatever we can do to make sure that whatever agencies you represent have digital navigators, community-based organizations you work with have digital navigators, they should be at every level that touches every community that we serve.
Bat and cleanup. Number 1, you can put together a device drive. I've been to Cramden. I've seen they use Department of Defense procedures to make sure they wipe everybody's information. It's completely safe to donate your stuff to them. So you can put together a device drive to donate either personal equipment of people in your neighborhood or your employer. I'm still working on getting the state of North Carolina to do a better job surplusing computers to device refurbishers, but it might be easier in your organization that's not a state agent, with state bureaucracy. Number 2, we made a grant to the Institute for Emerging Issues at NC State University to help all 100 counties in North Carolina do a local digital inclusion plan. They have a map on their site so you can see where your county's at, if it's already got one or if it's in progress, if you're interested in getting involved with that effort, or if your county's not working on it yet, you could help them get started. And number 3, check out the grants that we've mentioned and the plans that are posted for public comment. We really do want to hear from you and get your ideas. There's one more I'm going to mention. I know it sounds like we do a lot of planning, but when you got $2 billion, you really got to plan how you're going to spend it. So there's a digital equity plan that'll be posted December 1st for public comments, and the folks at this table have been really important in providing input for that plan. That will help us get ready to get some more federal money in 2024 for digital equity capacity. We're hoping to get around $30 million from the federal government for that. So take a look at that one when it comes out December 1st as well and give us feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I would like to say to Carrie Delmarani, to Lori Fogel, to Emily Gange, to Patrick Mulhern, thank you. I think we have the best panel. We have a great representation of community involvement, our state leadership, and individuals that are doing the work. Thank you for your time and being in here and teaching us how to do it in 45 minutes. We appreciate you.